Well, folks, I really gotta stop dragging that intro. Welcome to a new era of mediocre train content. This is the Winnipeg Railfan, and this is my new DJI Neo drone. This is their fairly new entry-level drone that I picked up off Amazon about a week ago, and I thought I'd take you along on some shots I got over the course of my first week or so of ownership. My first official clips of trains were of the deadline at CP's Weston shops. Some units of note here are of course the CP6613 up front, a former Line SD40-2, as well as one of the last road slugs left on the roster, 1128, converted from GB35 5021. Another day, I came back to the deadline and shot the other end of it, where the last large multi-mark unit on the entire CP roster, SD40-2 5911, has sat since the late 2010s, being stripped of parts sadly. Behind it is 3014, a GB38AC that was damaged in a wreck, repaired, and somehow still wound up on the chopping block. Around 2022, it was rumored 5911 was marked as saved, but I'm not sure for who or what came of that in general. Would be pretty cool though. Who knows how long these classic workhorses have until they meet the cutter's torch. Some, like 5960, 6010, or 6613, could be reactivated or sold off, but others like 5923 or 5911 here have definitely seen better days. What's crazy is that a majority of the units here I grew up seeing around Winnipeg back in the day. One downside to the drone is that the battery doesn't last too long. It takes roughly an hour to fully charge from pretty much 0%, but it can only fly continuously for about maybe 10-15 minutes or so. Until I get some spare batteries, I just carry along a wall charger and scramble around to find an outdoor outlet like a bum. The video quality is fairly decent. Its 12 megapixel camera produces good video and decent enough picture quality. Here's a shot of the GWWD yard. I thought I'd fly over the RS-23 they have sitting there. CP8018 is an MLW RS-23 built in 1959. It was retired in the early 90s and ended up on the GWWD around 95-96, along with 8016 that was actually cut up back in 2017, as a part source for their other MLW engines. I also flew back over a few days later and shot their former BC Rail MLW S13 built in 1959 as Pacific Great Eastern 1001. It was used alongside their RS-23s 200 and 202 back in the day, but 201 ended up being turned into another part source in the mid-2000s or so. Another new addition to the yard is Chip 2, their 45-tonner, that actually replaced a rail bus on display in front of their station office that was moved elsewhere recently. Looks pretty sharp in this fresh coat of paint. So far, in terms of shooting the classic SD40s on CN's Symington hump, I haven't had much luck actually. Either I've gotten out there late at night or on really windy days, which annoyingly is every day this spring so far. With other freight trains, I've shot a few things so far, like the CP Selkirk Local coming south a few times, albeit I was struggling to get the drone up in the air before the head end passed.
That's correct. Okay, yeah, talk to you if we don't clear. We probably won't. We got 4 units today, so good chance we don't. And when we're ready to depart, expect 5283.
I was hoping to get BNSF crossing the river here, but I had to settle for CP F25 with the GP20C Eco. I then caught the unit headed to the yard by itself after dropping its tank cars at the BNSF interchange. Now this video isn't really in order of dates, but here's CP-118 with an ACU leader, and a pretty uncommon, for Canada at least, UP-SD-70M trailing. Growing up, I thought this angle of Whittier Junction was really cool, and now that I have a drone, I wanted to test it out from the air. Here we see a westbound CN potash train headed to the mines out in Saskatchewan with two new SD-75 AC rebuilds, 8313 and 8314. Turning the camera around, we see the CP St. Boniface local heading back to the main yard. The angles here are kind of bad from the ground, but it's really cool seeing trains pass over or under each other at the same time. Here's a shot of CP-577, a westbound oil train with KCS Safety Unit 4859 leading, at the same spot a few days later. Now moving on to catches of passenger trains so far, we see Via 692, the Hudson Bay train, Coming back into the station after turning around at Beach Junction to the east, you can actually see a CN freight train right on its tail coming across the Red River. Moments later, the CN train comes by on the south track. This was L532 headed south towards the States, with SD70M-2 8888, nicknamed Crazy 8s, leading. The drone was moving around a lot because, of course, the wind had to pick up as soon as the trains showed up. Seeing as it's such a lightweight drone, strong wind can and will fling the stupid thing around, especially when you're just hovering for a shot. Going back a few days to my first shot of VIA from the air, train number 1, the westbound Canadian, is arriving into Winnipeg. I wanted to try a shot at terminals cut off for a long time now, and thanks to the drone, I'm finally able to. Well, when it's not mad windy. This shot, which you could see a photo of on my Instagram, is my favorite so far. Alright, now with the shots that turned out decent out of the way, let's see some fails. First up, I tried getting a head-on shot of CP F26 South. Turned out pretty cool. Little too close here, but that's kind of neat. Alright, let's move up. Hello? Start moving up. Yeah, so this is where the connection got spotty for a second, and it seemed like the wind and the train were carrying it away. I tried moving it to the right and back towards me, but the wind started pushing it back into the train, better yet the freight car. This is where I had to force it to go downwards until it hit the ground. It somehow didn't just crash land and hovered above the ground. I couldn't even see it when I ran over to get it. Oh well, I got it back up in the air for a shot of the end of the train. Now for my first official crash landing. I put the drone up for a late 5:32 leaving with 2 BNSF SD75s, and of course missed the head end. The battery was pretty low, so it started the auto landing feature, and I brought it down right into a tree branch, which caught the propeller and flung it to the ground. And somehow even that wasn't the scariest incident so far. It's May 9th and I'm out shooting a super late VIA number 1, who's pretty much running on the old 2017 schedule, coming in at around like 8 or 9 AM and leaving by 10, 11, 12 AM. All was fine flying it over the train at the station, but of course the drone's mortal enemy, wind, was out in full force today. I put it up in time to catch VIA 1 heading west out near Diamond, just outside the city. Of course, being on the prairies, there's no wind barriers, let alone in the air. I managed to stabilize it for the head end, but it was just downhill from there. I tried bringing it back towards me, but it was just not happening. The wind must have been gusting to like 40 miles an hour or something like that. Kept pushing it to the south of me. Made for a neat shot of him going away though, aside from some wind gusts. I thought it was just gonna push it into the trees and hit another branch again, but nope, it cleared the tree line and kept going back. At this point I lost signal. I'm down at the crossing freaking out. This thing is like a runaway train. I got the connection back for a second as I was sprinting across the highway into a field where it was going. I'm just trying to land it at this point, but the app is saying that the terrain isn't safe to land on. I don't care, bro, just land. At some point you could see me try and slap it out of the air, which worked eventually, but albeit with the blade slicing my finger. It didn't cut it open though, just it hurt a little bit. Well, I totally and utterly fumbled a pretty uncommon catch of VIA out here. Also kinda sucks the wrapped 6420 with a nice horn wasn't leading, but who cares. Anyways, I got to see this cool 54 Pontiac on the way home, along with Can-Do 5311 sitting at Carmen Junction, and BNSF Manitoba working CN's Fort Rouge Yard. So, do I think a drone, let alone the little DJI Neo, is a good purchase? Sure. It's a good stepping stone when it comes to drone photography, something that's cheap, easy to use even with a phone as the controller, durable, and fun to play with before moving up to bigger and better stuff, like the Mavic or the Phantom lines. I think a good lesson here is don't try risky shots on your first few flights. Definitely just charge it up and head out to a big open space to test it out and practice some maneuvers for future video angles. As long as I don't severely crash it or anything, it'll be fun learning to fly. Well, thanks for watching everyone. Hope you enjoyed a slightly different filming video. As always, shout out to the channel members listed right here. And of course, subscribe for more mediocre train content coming, I don't know, sometime. For now, you know the rules. Be nice in the comments, don't diddle kids, don't derail trains for clout. See you next Tuesday.